if I'm accused, like Lanny Davis mentioned, of a completely frivolous case, and this whole thing is defamatory, I am kicking and screaming that plaintiffs who commenced this case couldn't take the time to show up for the initial hearing. I mean, we didn't hear that from Sharpe's side. So I think it's, again, we're trying to make sense of what we have here. It seems that both parties are on the same page, or else, defense counsel didn't create a clean record as to this inexcused absence from plaintiff's side, which should have been cause for concern.
I think you make a really fair analysis of what might be going on. I agree with you. You think it was interesting that the judge even said, you want to push this out more? I mean, the judge even said there seemed to be a surprise that it's not being resolved. Does that give you a sense of where the judge's head is regarding maybe what's happening behind the scenes, but also maybe the merits of the case or the substance of the case?
Well, yeah, and let's not just say it was kicked for 45 days is a long time, right? You go in front of federal judges and you ask for an extension, right? I was in court somewhat recently, and we asked for an extension of a preliminary conference, very similar to what's going on here. And the judge, federal court judge, said, no, not doing that. Come to court and explain to me why you needed kicked. So 45 days is a long period of time for the adjournment, too. It's not 7 days, it's not a week. It's not, hey, judge, we're working it, we'll come right back. Defense counsel pushing this out 45 days to make up for plaintiff's counsel not being there is also worth paying attention to. I would say maybe a week, 2 weeks, tops 30 days. 45 days gives you a signal that the parties are in no rush to proceed on this. And again, I'm just looking at what Lanny Davis, the initial counsel for Sharpe, said on here. We're going to be aggressive. We're going to file for defamation. We haven't seen those, and we don't really see a pushing of the pedal this case. So my spider sense is going off that the parties are in some type of communication working towards resolution. Again, not confirmed, but that's what the breadcrumbs seem to say.
Do you think it'd be advantageous for Shannon Sharpe to settle this lawsuit after the comments that were made, after his defense, after what he's being accused of? Do you think from a legal point of view and a career point of view and a PR point of view, it would make sense to settle the case?
It's tough to say, right? Right. There will be a public that goes out and says any type of settlement, even if it's a no-pay settlement, even if there's no admission of guilt and there's some public statement that we settled it just to move on, there will be a good portion of the public that will view this as being an admission of guilt, even if it's not. So for Sharpe's career, that's very public focused and media focused. You wouldn't recommend a settlement on a case you have no liability on. But as we know from Sharpe's side, and this was, I remember, Jesse, you and I spoke about this initially, for Sharpe's side to admit that they themselves were offering millions of dollars to settle the case, that plaintiff's side was refusing, tells you, right, that they wanted to settle this. So it's not really what I think is, or what you think is wise or unwise. Sharpe's own legal representatives are out there saying that they have had previously millions of dollars in authority to settle the case. So he kind of has to eat that fact. And this is, again, me, I didn't understand the logic behind it at the time. That type of admission that we're trying to settle this case as a 7-figure plus valuation. And shortly after that lawyer made those statements public to the world, that's when Sharpe had to step aside from ESPN. So even the entertainment of settlement seemed to distance himself from ESPN. So that's why we have very mixed messaging from Sharpe's camp as a whole. And I think what's best for his career would be to fight these tooth and nail on the merits, especially after your lawyer came out and said this was defamatory.
And think about who he's going up against, because let's talk for a second about the plaintiff's choice of attorney, which has added just another layer of intrigue to this case. We're talking about Tony Buzbee, gained national attention for representing, more than 20 women in sexual misconduct cases against NFL quarterback Deshaun Watson. He's also filed lawsuits against Sean Diddy Combs, famously pursued a then dropped case against Jay-Z that resulted in the rapper countersuing. And on his Instagram, announcing the Sharpe lawsuit, Buzbee had written, "I'm extremely proud to represent Jane Doe. It takes a great deal of courage to stand up against those with power, fame, and money. I look forward to pressing this case in court." But Buzbee's absence at the July 9th hearing, seemingly without an explanation or local counsel appearing on his behalf. I mean, this is just based on what we're seeing in the reporting. Maybe there's something else going on as we're talking about. It certainly could raise eyebrows. So, Dan, when you think about his involvement in this case, how does that factor everything in?
Struggling with paperwork for a death certificate? Say no more. Vital Records Online has your back.
So, Dan, when you think about